have a crush on my best friend's husband's older brother. Late at night, I sent a message to Herman, a university professor. Honey, you are so handsome. He replied with 2 words, self-respect. I chased him for more than a month, but this aloof man remained unmoved. In the 2nd month, my best friend cried and said she wanted a divorce. I patted my chest and said, I'll go with you. Then I sent a message to Herman, old man. You look so impotent at first sight. Goodbye. Never see you again. That night, I was trapped in the room by Herman and had to apologize with tears in my eyes. I'm wrong. He sneered coldly. It's too late. My best friend Luna is my goddess. She is a rich, beautiful, highly educated, talented, gentle and generous woman. I often sigh that why I'm not a man. A month ago, she married Tyson, the young master of the Beijing elite circle. As a bridesmaid, I cried until my eyes were red. I was the saddest one at the whole wedding, because I think no man in this world is worthy of her. What makes me even sadder is that after she gets married, we may meet less and less. Tyson looked at me and smiled smugly, looking proud and showing off. This guy is notoriously profligate and dissolute. When my best friend was dating him, he and I were like fire and water. He was often infuriated by me, but because of my best friend's face, he couldn't lose his temper. On the wedding day, he smiled like a spring breeze. He said to me, Annie, stop pestering my Luna. She is mine. Third wheel. Be self-aware. I was so angry that I gritted my teeth. I turned around and caught sight of a man who looked a bit like Tyson walking over. The man was tall with long legs and had a gentle and aloof temperament. Tyson, who was always arrogant and picky, immediately became proper when he saw him. He called out politely, brother. The man nodded and then his eyes fell on me. Tyson introduced me voluntarily. This is Annie, Luna's good friend. This is my older brother, Herman. Herman was very taciturn and only nodded slightly at me. I stared at him and my eyes lit up. An idea came to my mind. At the banquet, I sat beside Herman. I directly asked Herman, Are you single? My straightforwardness made Herman slightly stunned. Except for me. Everyone at this table was the groom's relative. All of them stared at me in surprise, with a subtle look on their faces. Herman paused and then said slowly, Single. Then let's add contact information. I took the initiative to show my QR code. And he glanced at me. Probably because of the presence of relatives and friends, and it was a happy occasion. He couldn't refuse me. The bride's friend. So he agreed. I happily added his contact information, and kept chatting with Herman. He was extremely well-bred and responded to every sentence with polite detachment. Of course I knew that he actually didn't want to pay attention to me. But it didn't matter. I had already made up my mind to force this melon to be mine. Herman was 5 years older than me. When I learned that he was a university professor, I was a little surprised. According to the Herman family's development path, as the eldest son, he should either be in business or in politics. Unexpectedly, he went into academia. No wonder he had an elegant and refined temperament like jade and ink. Professor Herman, you are so handsome. I've never seen a more handsome man than you. The people eating at the table seemed to be petrified, frozen in place. I thought their reactions were strange, but all my attention was on Herman, so I didn't think much about it. I just thought that my straightforwardness had scared them. Herman was originally having soup. When he heard my words, he raised his eyes and looked directly into my eyes. With a calm expression, he replied, overpraised. To the aloof man is not easy to win. In order to win Herman, marry into the Herman family and be with my goddess like best friend. I specially consulted a friend who was an expert in love affairs. She gave me 4 words. Be straightforward and bold. If you play coy with an aloof man, you will surely fail. You must be direct and bold. Introverted people like extroverted ones. I learned and applied what I had learned and also searched a lot on the internet. When I saw a post teaching people to call their lover's husband, I suddenly realized I was eager to have a try. Give me a handsome man, and I'm extremely powerful now. I opened Herman's chat box. I sent directly, "Good night, husband." Herman, you sent it to the wrong person. I smiled. No. You are my only husband. Herman, Miss Annie. I'm not in a relationship with you, nor married to you. Be cautious with your words. I was overjoyed. This man was to proper. Then be in a relationship with me and marry me. A long silence. Herman, Miss Annie. Self-respect. The moment I saw the message, I held my belly and laughed through the screen. Is this the joy of dating an older man? Forcing an unwilling person is really interesting. Husband. I will attend your class tomorrow. Herman didn't reply. Since that day, I have often gone to Herman's school to sit in on his classes. On the square-shaped platform. Herman, dressed in a suit and wearing gold-rimmed glasses, looks both ascetic and charming. Every move and every word of his are pleasing to my eyes and ears. In class, Herman asked a question. During the thinking time, I secretly sent him messages on my mobile phone. Husband, you are so handsome. Husband, your voice is so nice. Husband, let's have dinner together after class. The mobile phone on the edge of the podium lit up. After glancing at the phone screen, Herman's gaze passed through the crowd and landed on my face. I mouthed 2 words to him. Husband. The eyes behind the lenses flickered slightly. I saw Herman's long and jade-like beautiful hand, holding the black microphone. His thin lips opened and closed. And he called out my name. Student Annie. You answer the question. This was the first time I had heard my name from his mouth. Somehow, my heart skipped a beat, beating with excitement. I'm an outsider who is just sitting in on the class and having impure thoughts. How could I know what he was asking? He must want to teach me a little lesson. He wants me to quit while I'm ahead. Impossible. In the large classroom, everyone looked at each other, looking for the student named by Professor Herman. I stood up, met Herman's gaze, and a sly look flashed in my eyes. Frankly and loudly. Husband. I can't answer this question. The whole class was in an uproar. There were continuous jeers. Herman's face didn't change, but I caught a glimpse of his Adam's apple moving imperceptibly. He calmly said, "Sit down." He didn't explain or deny my calling him husband. He directly moved on to the next name. Since then, I have become famous overnight. Herman's students all know that he has a married partner who often comes to class. I don't hide it anymore either. From the back row at the beginning to the front row now, I stare at him openly and above board. But he no longer calls on me to answer questions. He is still distant and cold towards me. Herman is impervious to persuasion and very difficult to pursue. After chasing him for a month, I'm a little tired. Last time it rained heavily, but I still went to his class regardless of the wind and rain. As a result, I caught a cold. Today, when listening to his class, I was listless, feeling unwell. I lay on the table and accidentally fell asleep, until I heard Herman calling my name. I painfully lifted my head from my arms, my head dizzy. He touched my forehead, and his brows furrowed. You have a fever. He was about to move his hand away, but I quickly grabbed it. I rubbed my face against his hand, unconsciously murmured, "It's so cool and comfortable." Herman froze for a moment, and his beautiful lips tightened. I was probably delirious with fever and really took him as my husband. Looking at him with red-rimmed and aggrieved eyes. Husband. I'm uncomfortable. Finally, Herman helplessly picked me up and walked out of the classroom. My consciousness was blur, half asleep and half awake. All I knew was that I was carried into the car by him. Because I kept clinging to him. He called the driver. In the back seat, I clung to him like a koala. There were many red lights along the way, and the car started and stopped. I rubbed against him uncomfortably. Herman's gaze dark and slightly. He grabbed me and tried to push me away. During the movement, I was poked by something, and I grabbed it and muttered, "Don't poke me." Herman's body suddenly tensed up, and his breathing became a little faster. He covered my hand, and his voice was restrained and hoarse. He coaxed me and said, "Be good. Let go." "No." I protested by burying my head in his shoulder. Herman's voice sunk a few degrees. "Annie." I pushed my luck and said, "Will you promise to be my husband?" What I got was a serious Herman. He immediately pushed me away from him. Before this, he had been tolerating my unreasonable behavior all the time. This time he was a little angry. He tied my restless hands with the belt he took off his body. His beautiful hands, which poked at my heart, pinched my jaw. I heard his slightly warning tone, "If you make any more trouble, I'll throw you out of the car." I stared at him blankly, a little frightened, on Herman's cold and impatient face. His dark eyes were churning with a familiar emotion. It reminded me of someone. My aunt's son. I call him third brother. A man who mingles in the underworld and has a smell of blood all over him. Even though he has tried his best to restrain himself in front of us juniors, the murderous and fierce air in his bones still can't be hidden. I was always afraid every time I saw him. The strength of Herman's hand pinching my chin increased a little more. He said coldly, "Annie, don't provoke me anymore. Don't go to school anymore in the future. If you hear me, nod." I shrank back in pain, and my feverish brain became sober under the threat. I nodded in his gaze. Herman took a look at my expression, and then let go of his hand. His eyes fell on the area below my lips and he frowned slightly. He said, "So delicate." Even without looking, I knew that the place where his fingertips had pinched must be strikingly red. For the rest of the journey, I huddled quietly in the adjacent seat, and fell into a doze. For when I woke up, I was in the hospital. My best friend Luna was with me. I hugged her a grieved lie and wailed, "You're finally back from your honeymoon. Do you no longer want me now that you have a man?" She laughed helplessly. "Stop joking. You had a fever of 40 degrees and were almost stupid. You still have an IV drip in your hand. Lie down quickly." I lay down and let my eyes wander around the ward. After a slow reaction, I asked, "How did you know I was here?" "Whoever sent you to the hospital naturally contacted me." Luna looked at me with a scrutinizing gaze. "How did you get involved with Tyson's older brother?" Speaking of Herman, I thought of the scene in the car. Only belatedly did I realize it, and my face flushed red all of a sudden. This reaction surprised Luna. "Annie, don't tell me you like Tyson's brother?" I pulled the quilt up to cover half of my face and answered in a muffled voice, "I want to be sisters-in-law with you." Coincidentally, Herman is a great choice. With good conditions. Being handsome and single. I told her about the process of me chasing Herman during this period. Luna laughed. "Annie, I'm very touched that you think so much of me. But this isn't a game of playing house. One should marry the person one loves." "I see. Since childhood, you've always been the one being chased. And you've always been dismissive. Always shouting that no man is good. But suddenly you've become enlightened, and are chasing someone in reverse. So it was for me. You. Like a child. Feelings don't work like this." I argued. "Herman is so good looking. It's also a kind of feeling if I'm attracted by his looks. I see him in a suit every day looking so ascetic. And my heart itches. I really want to see him without clothes. His hands are exactly my type. I want to bite them." I was talking without thinking. Just spouting off. A not too light nor too heavy knock on the door interrupted my words. At the door, Tyson was smiling and gave me a thumbs up. Herman had a calm face, and his eyes coldly swept over my shocked and flustered eyes. I silently covered my whole face with the quilt. 5 Herman came because I had left my computer in his car. He put down the computer and then left. He didn't say a word throughout. And I huddled in the quilt all the time and didn't poke my head out until he had left. T-san came to pick up my best friend Luna, and also give me a ride on the way. I could be discharged from the hospital after my IV drip was finished. In the car, Tyson teased me. Amazing. You even dared to flirt with my brother. But you're not my brother's type. I advise you to give up. I had never liked Tyson. Hearing his words, I couldn't help but say defiantly, whether I'm my brother's type or not, it's up to your brother to decide. Just wait. This new year, you'll have to call me sister-in-law respectfully. Tyson sneered disdainfully. You're dreaming. I immediately hugged my best friend Luna, who was watching the two of us quarrel like primary school students with an amused look. Baby, I'm not feeling well. I want to sleep with you tonight. Don't go back. My soft and fragrant best friend smelled so good. It was such a pity for that Herman jerk. Annie, stay away from my wife. Don't even think about it. My best friend Luna was helpless. Okay. Stop quarreling. You too. Annie is not feeling well. I'm worried about her living alone. I'll stay with her tonight. Tyson was so angry that his face turned black. But he still had to listen to Luna, and agreed reluctantly. My best friend Luna stayed with me for one night. And the next day she was picked up by Tyson. Although I told Tyson to wait, and call me sister-in-law. In fact, I didn't send Herman any more messages. His words and expression in the car that day still made me a little scared. I was cowardly. There was also a bit of embarrassment. Although I was just spouting off. I was on the pure love route. I had never been in a relationship before. Whenever I thought of grabbing Herman's things that day, I could hardly face him. After resting for a week, I planned to ask my best friend out for shopping. As a result, I saw a piece of sexual entertainment news. Tyson, the heir of the Herman family, had a secret meeting with his first love at night. The two of them stayed in the hotel for one night, and didn't leave until the next day. In the photo, Tyson was hugging a woman in the hotel lobby. I was furious. I called to scold Tyson. No one answered. Immediately after that, I received a call from my best friend. She was crying and said she wanted a divorce. While comforting her, I said righteously, All right. I'll accompany you when you get divorced. After that, I immediately went to pick up my best friend. Her eyes were red and swollen from crying. I knew it. That playboy Tyson was not a good person. It hadn't been long before he couldn't restrain his true nature. Of course, I didn't scold out loud in front of my best friend, because she was crying very sadly at the moment. I was both angry and distressed. Tyson called me, but I blacklisted him, and also deleted his contact information. During the deletion process, I looked at Herman's profile picture and vented my anger on him. I sent him a message. I won't bother you anymore in the future. Old man. You look useless at first sight. Who cares? Goodbye. Never see you again. Then I blacklisted and deleted him as well. 7 at night. In a high-end entertainment club. In order to let my best friend Luna forget about Tyson. That bastard for a while. I invited a few mutual friends out. For the first time, I ordered a few male models to sing and play with us out of pique. Halfway through, I went out to answer a phone call. When I came back, my best friend was gone. I asked the others and found out that she had been taken away by Tyson. I was both angry and worried. You just watched her being taken away like that. Annie, don't worry. Anyway, this is also an emotional conflict between them as a couple. As a friend, you can't interfere too deeply. And Luna left with him on her own. I frowned and called Luna. She hung up on me. After a while, she sent me a message. I'm fine. Don't worry. I want to talk to him. Seeing the message, my worry eased, but I was still feeling annoyed in my heart. I didn't have the mood to sing anymore. Seeing that I was in a bad mood, The others suggested going to the first floor to have fun. There was a dance floor and performances on the first floor. Which was more exciting? I nodded. A male model invited me to dance on the dance floor. As we were dancing, his body got closer and closer. With a subtle seduction, I felt a little uncomfortable and wanted to push him away. Unexpectedly, his hand suddenly held my waist. I was just about to curse when my arm was suddenly grabbed. I was pulled by someone and fell into a strange yet familiar embrace. I looked up and met Herman's cold and gloomy eyes. You. I had just opened my mouth when he dragged me out of the dance floor. All the way out of the club. You. What are you doing? Herman stopped and said to me, without changing his expression, "Fuck you." I widened my eyes, thinking that I had misheard. I couldn't believe such vulgar words came from the refined Herman. I stared at Herman in astonishment, but he suddenly took a step closer to me. The male hormones unique to him, wrapped in an oppressive and invasive aura, enveloped me. I felt a trace of fear inexplicably. I subconsciously stepped back. After stepping back a few steps, I suddenly realized that I was too cowardly. What was I afraid of? He couldn't really do anything to me. I stood still and met Herman's gaze. Professor Herman, I don't like you anymore. What you said is extremely ungraceful. Do you understand vulgarity? Herman's eyes were like a cold lake, seemingly calm without waves but exuding coldness. Hearing me say vulgar, the calm lake had a slight ripple. He lowered his eyes and said softly, "When it comes to vulgarity, I'm not as bad as Miss Annie." After all, it was the first time I saw someone who said loudly in the hospital that she wanted to see me and rest and bite my fingers. After being rejected in the pursuit, she sent messages scolding me as old and useless. Herman paused for a moment, then suddenly raised his hand and grasped the back of my neck. "Miss Annie, have you ever tested whether I'm useless or not?" I struggled a little but couldn't break free. My face flushed, and it took me a while to choke out a sentence. As a teacher, how can you say such vulgar words? Vulgar? Herman looked at me and said, "Are you less vulgar? You harass others every day. Shouting husband. And your behavior in the car. Taking advantage of me. When it comes to being vulgar, I'm not as good as Miss Annie." I was so flustered and hot that I couldn't refute. I was just a talk the talker, but a coward in reality. It was one thing that I took the initiative to flirt with Herman before, and the initiative was in my hands. But it was different when he took the initiative. Although I talked big, when others got serious, I was both cowardly and afraid. Seeing my flushed face and flustered eyes, Herman probably found it interesting, and the fingertip on my nape moved gently. I don't know which part of my skin he touched, but I trembled all over and let out a faint whimper. Both he and I were stunned. Taking advantage of his distraction, I shook off his hand, covering my neck. I couldn't accept that the sound was made by myself just now. I never knew that there was such a sensitive place on my neck. Looking at my shrinking yet pretending to be calm posture, Herman laughed. He withdrew that sharp and depressive aura and taunted me. "Are you scared now? With such little courage. You still learn from others to flirt with men and dare to order male models." I became angry out of shame and said, "It's none of your business. You told me not to provoke you. Why are you treating me like this now? Don't worry. I won't flirt with you. There are plenty of people lining up to court me." After saying that, I turned around and walked towards the club. Herman grabbed my hand and ordered coldly, "Go home." I broke free from his hand and said, "Professor Herman, who are you to me? You're being too nosy." Under Herman's cold face, I turned around and ran into the club. Out finding the booth where my friends were, I sat down gloomily. Less than 10 minutes after chatting, a large palm landed on my shoulder. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of a black figure. My intuition told me it was Herman. I ignored it. The other person patted my shoulder. I turned around impatiently and looked up. "Are you annoying? Why are you minding my business?" Suddenly, I fell silent. I stood up all at once, meeting a pair of stern eyes in front of me. I stammered. Third brother. Why was he here? My third brother. Carson. With a cold, expressionless face. He glanced at the watch on his wrist. He said, "It's 10 o'clock. Have you had enough fun?" I blinked and glanced at the people beside me. After thinking for a while, I said against my will, "Yes." Carson looked at me and said, "I'll take you home." Then he turned around and walked away with big strides. I picked up my bag and quickly followed. He walked fast, and I trotted all the way to barely keep up. There was a car parked at the entrance. Third brother opened the door and got into the front passenger seat. I quietly let out a sigh of relief. I opened the back door and got into the back seat. I gave the address to the driver. Silence fell in the car. I sat very properly and felt extremely uncomfortable all over. Third brother. Why did you come to Beijing? It was too dull. So I was the first to speak. For something. Oh. As taciturn as ever. Are you going back to Shanghai for Mid-Autumn Festival? Suddenly. Third brother asked me. I looked out of the window and said in a self-mocking tone. Why should I go back? To see the three of them loving each other dearly and make myself feel bad. Or to make them feel bad. Third brother was silent for a few seconds. If you have time, go to Hong Kong to visit your aunt. Your room has been kept for you all the time. I lowered my head and my eyes felt a little hot. I see. My parents divorced when I was young. My father had an affair but still held on tightly to my custody rights. In order to stay away from my scumbag father, my mother gave up my custody rights. After the divorce, she went abroad to pursue her dreams and got married and settled there. On my father's side, there was a mistress. I gave that mistress a hard time at home more than once. My father was a jerk. But he was quite nice to me. Basically, he was on my side. The mistress couldn't compete with me. So she chose to humble herself and endure in silence. She planned to use that stupid younger brother to punish me in the future. When I was a child, every long vacation, my aunt would pick me up. My aunt had 2 sons, and third brother was the eldest. He was not very familiar with me as his sister. By nature, he had always been taciturn and cold. Plus, he was several years older than me. So we didn't have much to talk about. However, every time I went to his house, he would give me a present. I knew he was cold-faced, but he regarded me as a family member and cared about me. Of course, I still respected and feared him a great deal. In a few days, I have a dinner party to attend. You're coming too. I was still feeling sad, and third brother's words made me confused. What am I going to do there? Third brother's reason was very simple. I need a female companion. And you are just right. I tried to resist. For a female companion. Third brother. Why don't you find someone else? I'm afraid I'll make you lose face. Third brother asked. Are you busy that day? If I'm busy, can I not go? Third brother looked back at me, and I immediately nodded obediently. Okay. Third brother. I won't make you lose face. Suddenly, a suppressed laugh came from the dull car, and then there was a loud laugh. It came from the driver's seat. Is my third brother's driver so bold? I leaned forward and looked at the driver, who had been invisible since I got in the car. Unexpectedly, I met a beautiful and flamboyant face. A very young and handsome guy. Hello, Miss Annie. I'm third brother's friend. My surname is Huo. I smiled awkwardly and said hello, then retreated to my seat. During the rest of the journey, this Mr. Huo was very talkative. He made me laugh out loud several times. Third brother, on the contrary, remained silent without saying a word, until I got out of the car. Third brother suddenly asked me, "What's your relationship with Herman?" Surprise showed on my face. I saw you talking outside the club. Third brother's words made me startle in my heart. I didn't know how much he had seen. I chose my words carefully and replied. We met at a good friend's wedding banquet. Third brother's eyes were like a sharp knife. As if cutting through my disguise and seeing what I was hiding. He stared at me so intently that I felt guilty and didn't dare to look directly at him. Herman is a very complicated person. Keep away from him. Watching third brother's car drive away, I stood there lost in thought. Someone who could be described as not simple, by my third brother. Who was like the king of hell. Must be related to the word terrible. 9 At the private dinner party. The people coming and going were either rich or noble. Third brother met an acquaintance and was invited to go elsewhere for a talk. He told me not to run around and pay attention to safety. I nodded obediently. As soon as he left, I walked straight towards a familiar figure, pretending to be inadvertent. My high-heeled shoes ground hard on the other person's leather shoes. The other person's face twisted, and he glared at me through gritted teeth. He growled in a low voice. Annie. During the day, I had a phone call with my best friend Luna. She told me that Tyson's entertainment report wasn't true. Tyson did meet his first love at the hotel entrance. But it was just a coincidence. Both sides had just booked rooms in the same hotel. Tyson had no entanglement with his first love, and he stayed in his own room at night. His first love also had a boyfriend and stayed in a room with him. The hug was a farewell hug proposed by his first love, and he refused it. But unexpectedly, the other person suddenly hugged him, and Tyson pushed her away quickly. Unexpectedly, they were photographed by the media and the media spread false rumors and exaggerated the story. My best friend said she was willing to believe Tyson. I felt a bit sour in my heart. I really don't understand why you like that playboy. Although the misunderstanding was cleared up, I still thought Tyson was annoying. Stepping on his foot was letting him off lightly. Master Tyson, which new sweetheart did you bring here? My best friend went home today to celebrate her grandmother's birthday. This dinner party required people to come in pairs. So the person Tyson brought could only be another woman. I brought my cousin. I sneered and still cursed him. Scumbag. Tyson took a deep breath. Whether I'm a scumbag or not has nothing to do with you. Annie. Don't always meddle in my and Luna's affairs. I haven't settled the score with you yet about you taking her to the Clyde male models. Don't think that just because you're Luna's good friend, I'll keep putting up with your pushing your luck. I got angry when I heard this. Are you crazy? Then don't get involved in any scandal news if you have the ability. Luna and I grew up together since we were young. I regard her as my family. If you bully her, I will interfere. Tyson looked at me with an annoying smile. If you want to interfere, you're not qualified. Wait until you can become my sister-in-law. But you'll never be able to. My brother doesn't even. Today, the female companion he brought is much better than you. Following Tyson's line of sight, I saw Herman in the far corner. There was a woman with a curvy figure in a red dress following him. Herman clinked glasses with someone and suddenly looked over. Our eyes met in midair, and there was no change in his eyes. He just took one look and then withdrew his gaze. A nameless gloom rose in my heart, and I walked away. I walked alone to a courtyard and saw a swing. I sat on the swing and swung back and forth. There was a crescent moon hanging in the sky. Everyone has their own family. But it seems that I do and don't at the same time. After my parents divorced and each had their own families, I felt like I was adrift. Luna and I have known each other since we were young. When we were children, if others scolded me or made fun of my family, she would scold them back for me. She was such a gentle and quiet person. But she was always angry and sad about my affairs. Seeing that I didn't like to stay at home, she always took me back to her home for dinner. Her parents were also very kind to me. I had always thought that she was my family. She was the person I wanted to be with all my life. From primary school to university, we had never been separated. But no matter how good a relationship is, it can't stay the same forever. She has formed her own family. On the day she got married, I felt that I had lost another family member. I was adrift again, floating higher and farther. I chased Herman also in order to become family with Luna. Closer. In the secular sense of the word family. How nice it would be to be able to spend holidays together. Unfortunately, Herman doesn't like me. For the first time in my life, I failed in chasing a man. When I saw the woman beside Herman just now, I suddenly felt uncomfortable. A little lost. A little sad. There were also unfamiliar emotions churning inside. I looked at the crescent moon and the sky and sighed. Why are you sighing? A familiar cold voice rang above me. The swing gradually stopped. And I looked up. Looking into a pool of still lake water. Herman was looking down. With a faint smell of alcohol on him. Even from this angle. He looked extremely handsome. We stared at each other in silence. The moonlight was beautiful. And the wind was gentle. I felt a little drunk from the smell of alcohol on him. Otherwise, how could I have asked him? Herman, can you like me? My voice was very soft. And the lake water reflected in my eyes rippled in layers. Herman didn't speak, but raised his hand to cover my eyes. I blinked my eyes. My eyelashes sweeping across his palm. I heard his voice by my ear. So greedy. As soon as he finished speaking, my vision became clear again. I was just about to ask him what he meant when Herman looked towards the second floor and said, "What's your relationship with Carson?" Following his gaze, I saw my third brother looking in my direction with a cold face. Like a child caught by parents for having a puppy love. I quickly stood up. At a loss. You left with him at the club and got into his car. And today you came as his female companion. Who is he to you? Seeing that I kept looking towards the second floor. Herman's eyes dark and a little. Are you afraid of him? Or do you care about him? I somewhat understood what Herman meant by greedy. Just now. He probably misunderstood my relationship with my third brother, and thought that I was too timing. I opened my mouth to explain. He is. Annie. My third brother came down from the second floor. He stood in the courtyard corridor and called me. I wanted to go over. But Herman grabbed my hand. His grip was strong. And my hand felt pain. He passed by me. Staring in my third brother's direction. The two of them had an exchange of glances. It seemed calm. But actually the aura was so oppressive that goosebumps rose on my skin. My third brother's voice grew louder. Come here. Herman's eyes returned to me. His gloomy look made me shudder. I quickly said, he is my third brother. My aunt's son. Herman loosened his grip. And I broke free from his hand and obediently walked towards my third brother. You like Herman? In the car on the way back. My third brother suddenly asked me. And he used an affirmative sentence. Seeing that I pursed my lips and remained silent. He asked again. What do you like about him? Without hesitation. I blurted out. He's good looking. In the eerie silence. I added more. He's good looking. From a good family. And he's a university professor. An educated person. It's quite normal for me to like him. It makes sense. Besides, my good friend married his younger brother. If I marry him, there will be no sister-in-law problems. It's a good thing to strengthen family ties. My third brother frowned after hearing this. So you know Tyson. What do you think of him? I showed a disgusted expression. A playboy. A typical second-generation rich kid. But he has my best friend head over heels for him. Then I'll tell you. What Tyson is doing now was all left over from what his brother did in the past. When Herman was in his early 20s. He was more than twice as good as his younger brother. That man is not just a simple university professor. His past and what's hidden in his bones are more complicated and deeper than what you think. He's ruthless. Acts extremely recklessly. And is unrecognizable to his own family when it comes to interests. No one in the upper-class circles in Beijing dares to form an alliance with him through marriage. He's not suitable for you. My third brother's words were like bolts of lightning, striking my mind. It was hard for me to combine Herman's image with the current Tyson. The refined and aloof university professor was also a hedonistic playboy in the past. It was too much of a contrast. Suddenly, the expression and tone of Herman when he warned me not to provoke him came to my mind. Also, the vulgar words outside the club that were so different from his image. Were those inadvertent looks the real him? Herman was never just a lofty flower. 11. The old master of Herman's family was celebrating his 60th birthday, and all kinds of powerful and wealthy people were invited to the banquet. My best friend Luna asked me to go. I originally wanted to refuse, but as soon as I thought of Herman, I shamelessly went. I heard my third brother's warning, but I didn't take it to heart. After all, the former Herman was in the past. Now he's just a university professor. My original main purpose was to marry into Herman's family, and Herman was just my ticket. Thinking like this, all my annoyance disappeared. Finding the original intention makes everything simple. That illusory thing called love is not important. The most important thing is that the husband is handsome, rich, and not annoying. After arriving at Herman's family and greeting my best friend, she asked me if I still liked Herman. I nodded repeatedly. She told me, "There's a woman who's getting a bit close to the eldest brother." I asked Tyson, and he said she was the eldest brother's female confidant. I can see that the woman is full of love in her eyes. Your rival in love is not simple. I thought of the woman in the red dress at the private dinner. As soon as I caught sight of Herman, I walked straight towards him. He wasn't surprised to see me either, but his attitude was cold. That familiar woman in red was also here, still in a red dress. This was the first time I saw her face up close. She had an excellent figure and was full of femininity. The corners of her eyes were slightly raised, and she was full of charm. I was so dazzled that I almost drooled, completely forgetting that she was my rival. Seeing that I was staring at her intently, she laughed. She said to Herman, "Is this your little girl? She can't move when she sees me." Herman took a step forward to block my view. Suddenly, I remembered my purpose and grabbed Herman's arm. I said to the person in front of me, "I'm not a child." The person looked at my behavior and laughed even more happily. "Herman, don't you introduce me?" Herman glanced at me and said, "There's no need." Then he pulled his hand away. I was angry, glared at Herman, and left. Before, he had confronted my third brother, clearly having feelings for me. Now he was pretending to be cold again. Pretend. Keep pretending. I was sulking and started chatting with the young talents present. Annie. While chatting, a very familiar person appeared beside me. I was stunned when I saw the person. "Ivan, it's really you. Long time no see." Ivan's eyes were gentle, which made my heart beat a little faster. Meeting the person I had a crush on when I was young again. I seemed to be pulled back to my school days. You're back in the country." Ivan nodded. He hadn't changed much since he was young. His tone was still warm and his temperament was gentle. My mind was completely attracted by Ivan, my first love who suddenly appeared. I didn't know that a storm was brewing in Herman's eyes, who had been watching me all along. Ivan talked eloquently, talking about a lot of people and things from the school days. All of a sudden, the distance of 8 years apart was narrowed. One glass of wine after another went down, and my head became dizzy. Before I knew it, I had left the banquet. Ivan helped me walk to a car. "You're drunk. I'll take you home." My intuition told me something was wrong, and I pushed away his support. "I have to say goodbye to Luna." Ivan grabbed me and said gently, "I've already told her. You don't need to go back." I shook my head. "No. I'm going to find Herman. I can't let him be snatched away by other women." I wanted to leave, but Ivan kept holding me and wouldn't let go. Gradually, he lost his patience and cursed. Damn it. So difficult. That gentle and refined face became hideous as he dragged me into the car. My drowsy brain sent out an alarm, and I struggled and fought back. I shouted for help loudly. Ivan had completely torn off his disguise. when he heard me shouting for help. He raised his hand to slap me. The next second, he was grabbed by the collar and kicked. The person was extremely strong and directly kicked him so that he couldn't get up. Two black-clothed bodyguards came out from the side, stuffed Ivan's mouth and dragged him away. I looked at Herman's face and, belatedly, was scared to cry. Ignoring his gloomy face, I threw myself at him and cried bitterly while hugging him. Not only did he not comfort me, but he also spanked me hard. The force of his hand was so great that it hurt so much that I cursed him. What I got in return was a heavier punishment. Finally, I sobbed and begged for mercy. Stop hitting me. It hurts so much. Herman's voice was cold. Only when it hurts will you remember. 12 I was carried by Herman to his room. I heard him call the doctor to come over. I felt the blood in my body boiling, and my whole body was on fire. I kept rubbing against Herman's body. I cried uncomfortably. Herman, I'm so uncomfortable. He sat aside, unmoved. He let me writhe around and calmly watched my embarrassment. I knew that I had drunk the spiked wine. Herman's indifference made me feel both aggrieved and angry. There was also a sense of frustration. Anger rushed to my head, and I cursed him. Are you a man? Are you capable? He wasn't annoyed either. His deep-set eyes stared at me. His tone was slow. Didn't you say that I'm old and incapable? I was choked. Sure enough, he was taking revenge on me. My courage swelled, and I directly straddled Herman. If you're not capable, I'll do it. He chuckled. Okay. Do you know how to? I really didn't know. I could only kiss him clumsily by instinct. Herman's eyes gradually darkened. He opened his body and let me take the initiative. But I had no experience at all. Pretending to be an expert, I was actually trembling slightly with shyness. After that, I had no idea what to do at all. I buried my head on his shoulder uncomfortably and bit him. His palm clasped the back of my neck and slowly, his voice had become hoarse. And he asked me, I'll give you two choices now. One is to wait for the doctor to come and solve it. And the other is for me to help you solve it. Which one do you want? I raised my head and met his gaze. After hesitating for a while, I said, if I choose you, will you promise to be my husband? Under the black pool in Herman's eyes, there were sealed waves. He replied with one word. Yes. I immediately answered. I choose you. I choose you. Herman pinched my waist and bent down to bite my lip. Unlike his cold-hearted persona, his kiss was deep and heavy. I was weak all over, and my head was so hot that I couldn't think. The waves of desire broke through the lake's surface, and I was wrapped up in it. I sank with the surging and shaking water. The overwhelming sense of suffocating pleasure was too much for me to bear. Subconsciously, I wanted to escape. But every time I swam out of the water, my ankles were caught by the water and dragged back. Then came more violent up and down movements. I cried out, no more, accompanied by a deeper thrust. A husky male voice rang in my ear. Are you okay? I'm wrong. Herman's fingertips slid across every inch of my trembling skin. He chuckled and said, it's too late to regret. I was sleepless all night and only got a quiet sleep near dawn. When I woke up, there was no one beside me. I was still in Herman's room. There were also clean clothes for changing beside me. I was startled when I entered the bathroom. My whole body was covered with mold marks, which were shocking. The events of yesterday emerged clearly bit by bit. I covered my face, blushing hot from the steam. 13 I spent the night in Herman's room, and everyone in the Herman family knew about it. Herman directly took me to meet his family. He told everyone in a notifying tone that he and I were going to get married. Tyson looked unhappy. My best friend Luna took me to her room and talked for a long time before asking me worriedly, are you really sure? Of course. I like Herman. Not just because of you. Of course you are an important reason. Luna hugged me and said, Annie, I've always hoped that you are happy. I'm glad that you come to the Herman family. But I more hope that you can get your own happiness. I don't know my eldest brother very well either. Tyson is in awe of his brother and doesn't reveal much about his affairs. But I vaguely heard some rumors about my eldest brother in the past. He's not as simple as you think. I patted my best friend on the back. I know what you said. I've made up my mind. Don't worry. 14 Herman was quick and decisive in his actions. The next day, he and I went to get the marriage certificate. Holding the red book, I felt a little unreal. So we are married. Herman has really become my husband. Looking at the fast-passing street scenes outside the car window, I asked Herman, "Where are you taking me?" There was a red light ahead, and Herman stopped the car. He turned his face to look at me and said softly, "The hotel." Go. Go to the hotel for what? Herman didn't speak, his dark eyes staring at my face. It made me blush. Suddenly, he raised his hand and pinched my chin. So easy to blush. What are you thinking about? Are you thinking about me naked or how you were so proactive yesterday? When Herman said this, his face didn't change color. If you didn't listen carefully, you would think he was asking if you had eaten. Herman's fingertip gently touched the broken skin at the corner of my mouth. I bit his finger in shame and annoyance. Herman's eyes were full of dark and surging emotions. Like my hand. Huh? I quickly spat it out and leaned back. I'm just to talk big on the lips. In reality, I'm a coward. It's one thing to take the initiative to tease Herman, but when he takes the initiative, I can't handle little. I blushed deeply. Professor Herman, you are being a rascal in broad daylight. When the green light came on, Herman withdrew his gaze and concentrated on driving. So serious as if the flirting just now was just my own illusion. What a noble flower on the high mountain. Clearly a refined scoundrel. Pretending so much. Herman drove me back to my place and asked me to find time these days to move my things to live with him. I nodded. By the way, where is Ivan? Herman glanced at me, and I guiltily looked away. I broke his legs and sent him to prison by reporting to the police. He said it lightly. Seeing that I was silent, he sneered. What? Still thinking about him? Suddenly, Herman said to me, Annie, your third brother should have told you about me. I'm not a good person. On the contrary, I'm a vengeful person. Those who offend me or betray me will come to no good end. You better be obedient. It's useless to regret. Who is thinking about him? I'm not stupid. That scumbag deserves it. I was silent, just thinking that some people seem to go bad all of a sudden. Or perhaps they were bad from the very beginning. But the youthful love once bestowed a halo on him. I couldn't see his true nature. What first love? It was just my girlish fantasy. Looking at Herman's face, I leaned over and kissed him. No regrets. No regrets. Professor Herman is my dream come true. Then I opened the car door and ran out. Unexpectedly, Herman turned his car around and stopped in front of me, blocking my way. The window of the driver's seat was fully opened. I bent down and asked him, "What's wrong?" But he suddenly leaned out of the window, grabbed my collar, and dragged me towards him. He kissed my lips. The ambiguous and sticky sound of the kiss made me blush again. He didn't linger too long, and let me go when I was having trouble breathing. He dropped a sentence. I'm going to class. And the car drove away, leaving me alone on the spot with my heart beating out of control. 15. I took some time to visit my scumbag father. By the way, I informed him about my marriage. I also sent a message to my mother, who is far away in a foreign country. I also went to visit my aunt. When he learned that I was getting married to Herman, my third brother's face didn't look so good. After a long silence, I, feeling very uneasy, received a blessing from my third brother. Congratulations. Before leaving, he told me to call him if anything happened. I felt warm in my heart. After returning to Beijing, I hid it from Herman and went to listen to his class. Regarding my coming again, his students started gossiping again. During the class, Herman spotted me hiding in the crowd at a glance. He remained calm and started the lecture. I sent him messages. Husband, you are so handsome. Husband, your voice is so pleasant to listen to. Husband, I miss you. Do you miss me? Husband, I'm hungry. Faced with my message bombardment, Herman replied to me in public. Stop being flirty. It directly made me speechless. Just one sentence made me blush. Sure enough, I can't compete with this older man. I can't say such things or send such messages. After class, Herman took me to the cafeteria for dinner. Looking at the energetic students, for the first time, I asked him, why did you choose to be a teacher? Herman's chopsticks for picking up food paused. After a few seconds of silence, he asked me in return, what did your third brother tell you about me? I picked out a few words. Cruel-hearted. Without regard for family. Young and successful. Herman sneered. Then how dare you keep pestering me? I thought for a while and said, those are all things in the past. And what is heard through the grapevine is not the whole picture. I like the you that I know very much. If you are not good, I'll accept it too. One can't give up eating for fear of choking. Herman looked at me, his eyes flickering slightly. You are very bold. I smiled. If I'm not bold, how can I get you? Husband? Herman curled his lips but didn't answer my question. After dinner, I wanted him to accompany me for a walk on campus. He didn't refuse. As we were walking, he suddenly told me the answer to that question. I used to be arrogant, and my actions were ruthless and cruel. And I didn't care about my family either. I wiped out my mother's family because my uncles were too ambitious and wanted to swallow the Herman family. My mother had a heart attack because she was so angry with me and passed away. Before she died, she cursed me as an emotional demon and said she regretted giving birth to me. All my relatives were afraid of me because I was ruthless enough and had the power to crush them. Maybe I suddenly had a conscience. I felt that I was indeed too cold-blooded and ruthless. So I retreated behind the scenes. I went to study abroad. And after coming back, I became a teacher to cultivate my mind and moral character. I listened quietly. When I remembered the strange attitudes of Herman's relatives at the dinner table when we first met, it all made sense at this moment. My thoughts jumped. And I thought of a very important thing. I asked Herman, how many relationships have you had? 1. Why did you break up? She betrayed me. And she died later. I shivered. What's the relationship between that woman in the red dress and you? Friend. She likes women. My eyes brightened. Really? Herman stopped walking. His eyes a little cold. What? Are you very happy? You have no relationship with her. Of course I'm happy. On the campus path full of people coming and going. Herman leaned over and kissed my lips. He kissed me until my eyes were full of tears. Don't think about men or women. You can only think about me and look at me. Do you hear me? I nodded. This person's possessiveness is really too strong. 16 after having the wedding with Herman. I also moved into the Herman family. Each adult child in the Herman family has an independent house. I often go to find my best friend Luna. Tyson is very unhappy to see me. Every time he asks his brother to take me away. Today I pestered my best friend and said, baby, let's go traveling. And don't tell them. God knows that Herman, that old man, is full of energy. Every day he is insatiable and tosses me around until I'm half dead. Except for my period. There is no break. I really can't stand it anymore. I want to leave for a while to give myself a break. My best friend hesitated to speak. Annie, I just found out yesterday that I'm pregnant. I can't go with you. I stared at her belly in surprise. Happily, I touched her belly. Since Luna is pregnant and can't go traveling with me, I decided to go by myself. The night before departure, when I came out of the bathroom, I found Herman looking at my mobile phone. He waved to me, come here. I walked over slowly and was pulled into his arms by him. Train ticket information. Are you going out for a trip? The lit up information on the screen was from the notification bar. For the first time, I regretted not turning off this function. The consequence of traveling without telling Herman and still being discovered was that I couldn't get up the next day. I missed my flight. When I woke up, I was in a sulk. Enduring my uncomfortable body, I cursed Herman. Beast! In order to coax me, he took me on a trip. In the single-family seaside villa. In the open-air swimming pool. I put my arms around Herman's neck. With red-rimmed eyes. I cursed him. You're a liar. This was not a trip at all. It was simply to make it convenient for him to do whatever he wanted. Herman asked me hoarsely. Aren't you happy? Well, I was quite happy indeed. The person I chose myself. I could only endure with tears in my eyes. The weather was really fine. And the sea breeze was lazy. I must have a rest tomorrow. I'm going to catch crabs by the sea. Watch the sunset. Together with Herman. The end.